you're given that function of x and y is the fourth root of x squared plus y squared minus 16. State the domain and range of f of x, y. And also find the value of f of 4, negative 4. Okay. Now the domain. Remember, the domain are the numbers that you put in x and y. Alright? Now here, the thing is, what you have under the fourth root sign cannot be negative. The fourth root, just like how the square root of a negative number is an imaginary number, the fourth root of a negative number is also an imaginary number. Right? As long as you have an even root, whether the fourth root, the sixth root, the eighth root, whatever it is, 10th root, 12th root, 14th root, as long as it's even root, odd root can be negative, right? But not the even root. So what you have under the square roots, under the fourth root sign, must not be negative. So therefore, the thing that you have under the fourth root sign, x squared plus y squared minus 16, right, must be Z-E-R-O, Z-E-R-O, or positive. So therefore, x squared plus y squared minus 16 must be greater than or equal to 0. Alright? Transposing this, x squared plus y squared must be greater than or equal to 16. Okay. So that's what you have. Right? You could describe it as a region on or outside of the circumference of a circle at center, the origin, and of radius 4, because 16 is 4 squared. If you remember the equation of the circle, alright? But this is what we have for the domain. What about the range? Now, the range would be the output. Alright? What the answer is. Now let's consider what could be the answer. The answer won't be negative. Right? You will not have it as negative because the smallest value under this of what is under the fourth root sign has to be 0. Now, when x squared plus y squared minus 16 equals 0, the output, remember the domain is the input. Whatever you put in for x, whatever you put in for y, right? The fact is that x squared plus y squared must be greater than or equal to 16. That's the domain, right? Now, the range is the output. So, the output, when you have what is under the fourth root sign being 0, that's when you have x squared plus y squared is greater than or equal to 16. That is when x squared plus y squared minus 16 is 0. When that is 0, then the output is the fourth root of 0, which is 0. So it starts at 0. 0 is the lowest value. Alright? So the lowest value is 0. can be less than 0. What is the highest value? We want to determine what the highest value is. If you make x squared plus y squared minus 16 equal 1 instead of 0, x squared plus y squared minus 16 equal 1, right? Then you're going to have the fourth root of 1, which is 1. If you have x squared plus y squared minus 16 equal 2, then you have the fourth root of 2, 1 point something, whatever it is. If you have x squared plus y squared minus 16 equal, what would it be now? (81), and the fourth root of 81 would be 3 3 9 9 3 27 27 3 8. It is 3, and so on. If you keep going up and make x squared plus y squared minus 16, what is under the fourth root sign? Equal 1,000,000. Then what you have as the answer, the output, is the fourth root of 1,000,000. Whatever it is. You could make it 1,000,000,000, and so on. So the highest is infinitely large. Alright? So the range is from 0 to, well, we're going to say infinity, but the argument is that there is no specific number that you point on that number and say that is infinity. Right? So it's an infinitely large number. Right? If you say infinity, it means it goes on and on. What you can do using what they call interval notation in answering this is to have your box here. 0 means it starts at 0, that's where it stops, and it goes to infinity. You can say positive infinity, and your circle. You remember the square bracket means it's included, and that's where you stop. The round bracket means that is not included. No, you have to have round bracket around infinity because infinity is not a specific number. Right? So it goes on and on. So that's one way of putting the answer. It goes from 0 to infinitely large, an infinitely large value. So it's from 0 to infinity here. Alright. Let's say f of 4 negative 4. Let's see how that goes. F of 4 negative 4 means that x is equal to 4 and y is equal to negative 4. That's what it means. It's going to be the fourth root of 4 squared plus negative 4 squared minus 16. Let's see. So this is the fourth root of 4 4 16 plus negative 4 squared is 16 minus 16. It's going to be the fourth root of 16 minus 16 is 0. So this part is gone. The fourth root of 16 equals what? You say which number? If you line up 4 of them and multiply all of them together, you get 16. 2 2s 4, 4 2s 8, 8 16. Alright. So it's 2. Alright. So that value is 2. It actually applies to plus or minus 2. It can be positive or negative 2. Right? because if you have negative 2, negative 2 by negative 2 by negative 2 by negative 2 is 16. And the same thing happened to positive 2. Just like how square root of 16 is plus or minus 4, the fourth root of 16 is plus or minus 2. Right? Alright, so that's that for now. I'll see you in the next video.